So anybody listening to this podcast right now has won the lottery. That means stress. You have high achievers that are listening to your stuff. So when you talk about the fear, that's something I've been blessed with. I don't have a lot of fear. If someone asked me to go be the communications director in the White House, even though that was literally the stupidest thing I've ever done, I don't have any fear. I would have go ahead and did it. And so don't live your life with fear. And it's not to say that you're not going to have anxiety. When I left Goldman at 32 to start my business, I had anxiety, I had worry, but it wasn't fear. Fear is a different thing. You have to be smart enough to overcome your fear in life, and you have to see through to the other side, no matter what happens. And then, of course, you need a couple of good failures. That'll sober your ass up really good. And then once you've had a good series of failures, then you build that resiliency, and you're able to realize you can handle almost anything. So you have to work off of the appreciation and gratitude in life, and not your expectations and where you think you should be and where your peers are and all that other stuff. And so that's my learning lesson from my 31-year career. Amazing amount of friends. When I got my living ass kicked in the White House, this is another thing I would tell your listeners. You're having a bad day. Let's say you're trapped in your house during a pandemic and you haven't been able to go to a restaurant in 60 days and you're feeling pretty miserable. Think about my ass getting fired from the White House on the 31st of July. When my wife and I are fighting, I'm having personal problems. I'm ejected from the White House, and I'm on the cover of every New York-based tabloid for 4 straight days. So if you're having a bad day, okay, put the thing into perspective, okay, and think of what was going on for me at that moment. And why I'm bringing it up is who cares? Dust yourself off. Forgive yourself for your mistakes. Admit them. You got to own your mistakes. I made some colossal mistakes. I'm not ever blaming anybody. So, the fact that I'm up today and I've had 2 meals, I get to watch CNBC, I get to talk with you, I'm on the phone with my clients, I got my kids outside that door right there, and then I'm going to take a ride over to my mom's house and see her. That is a very blessed day. Okay, am I conquering the world? Am I taking a company public? Am I, running for office right at this second? No, I'm not doing any of those things. But there should be joy in the simplicity of what's going on around you in your life.
We'll do a few rapid fire questions, Anthony. You organize the world famous SALT conference. Who are some of your favorite speakers from that over the past few years?
Well, I have so many of them, but I would say to you that, President Bush did an amazing job. I had Will Smith one year, Will.I.am from the Black Eyed Peas. I had Francis Ford Coppola. He came to talk about The Godfather. That was really a lot of fun. Al Pacino I invited one year. But, I've also enjoyed Tony Blair. I built a friendship with Prime Minister Blair. And Richard Branson. I've had the opportunity to visit him down on his island from time to time. There's been a very interesting and very eclectic mix of people that have come to the SALT conference and that I have been able to, embrace and have sort of a good relationship with. Michael Milken, who runs the Milken Conference, has become a really close friend. And he has spoken at SALT now. He did SALT Singapore. He almost did SALT Abu Dhabi. He had to cancel last minute. He's done the Vegas SALT probably 3 times. And I go to his conferences, and we have a very close relationship. And so I think that's another big learning lesson for young people. Work on your network.
One is, what traits do you look for in candidates you guys hire at Skybridge? And then on the flip side, how would you pitch Skybridge as a place to work?
What I would say about Skybridge is, I started the company 15 years ago, and I have sort of 3 main tenets of principles in terms of managing that company. And so the first one is, no one has ever worked for me. And so if you're at Skybridge, you're working with me. Even though I'm the principal and majority owner and the managing partner, it's a collaboration. Okay, so cultural tenet number 1 is it's a collaboration. Cultural tenet number 2 is I believe in autonomy. But if I'm giving you a lot of autonomy, and I'm delegating a lot of responsibility to you, then you have to actually step up, concomitant with autonomy and responsibility is accountability. But the last thing is attitude, and I've been talking a lot about that in this session. You have the right attitude, and so if you wanted to work at a place like Skybridge, you have to have those elements. Everything else, in my opinion, is trainable. Everything else is technical. But those sort of ethereal things are super important in a company like ours.